the forward-facing camera today. We shall see how this goes. Hopefully, y'all can hear me, because I think the microphone is on the front of that camera. So, is it quiet, or am I quiet? We may have to switch to the other camera. So, hello Daryl, hello Pam, hello Crystal Shack, hello Candy, hello Aqua Noob, who was first to the chat. Judy CB is here, hello. Yeah, it's a little too soft. I gotta switch it around. Okay. We're gonna have to switch it around, because I know the audio is good on the other side, so hang on. Let's see here. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Can she do it, folks? Okay, earthquake, little bitty earthquake. Come on. There we go. Bam. I don't know what y'all are seeing at the moment, but I'll figure it out in a second. Oh, you're seeing my hand. Cool. Alright. Let's get this back down here like this. Make sure y'all can see the rope fish, because that's what everybody comes for. Okay. And I kicked it. Awesome. Here we go. Is that audio better? And not as quiet? Because that microphone faces the front. I'm gonna have to get like a lavalier mic or something if I want to use the other camera. Theme song from the Addams Family, I have no idea. The eidetic memory for song lyrics just causes the bouncing ball to start in my head on whatever file uploads. So if I'm singing something, half the time I don't even know what's going on. Hey Heather Nielsen, hey Vanessa MSA. Who else is here? I'm missing stuff in the chat. Clay Dealey's here. Anyway, hello to everyone joining. I've been thinking about substrate because you see this plant right here, this water sprite that was the thumbnail? It is basically growing it, not in the substrate, because I don't use enough substrate, ever. How much substrate do y'all use? This is probably 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, probably 1/2 an inch. It's got a layer of Eco Complete and then a layer of pool filter sand. And I don't think it's enough, because that plant is for sure not growing in the substrate anymore. Ty is lurking and doing work in the garage. That's awesome. Hello, Ty. Keep doing your work and get it done and don't mess up. Clayton Beaver is new to our channel and he's loving it. Welcome to the Odd Squad. Odd Squad. So I redid the micro worm cultures today because they were getting a little funky, and I've been trying to decide whether I'm just going to throw more pool filter sand in here or whether I'm going to get like some Brightwell or maybe something else. I'm not sure, because this is going to end up being a community tank when I move it to the basement and move the rope fish into the pond. So I kind of maybe want to go dark substrate, but then that sand's going to mix in with it anyway, so what do y'all think? Heather Nielsen says, in my tanks that have heavy root feeding plants, I have 2+ inches of substrate so the roots have plenty of room. Just Shrimp Granny is watching a friend's baby instead of being at work. The baby is not impressed with her. Keys, stupid faces, weird noises. Get them going. Babies love that. Everything you wouldn't do in front of another person, generally, baby will find hilarious. Like, every face that you've trained yourself not to make in life because you're like, oh, that does not look good. Make those faces. Babies love it. My husband is getting my kids' lunch ready in the kitchen there, so if you see if you hear a bunch of rumbling, that would be the bear making a pizza. Uh-oh, the kid's playing. So, I was thinking about this substrate thing, and of course, the nerd in me is like, whip out your books. So, here I have The Ecology of the Planted Aquarium by Diana Walstead. This book is the first book I read when I decided to do a planted tank. Mostly this talks about the dirted method. 99.9% dirted method in this book. But I was looking at what she specifically says for substrates. Mommy, I may be called away. She says, she goes, dry soil depth 1 to 1.5 inches, and then covers the soil with gravel so that the substrate is 2 inches deep. So 2 inches seems to be the general standard, which I am 1.5 inches under. Jeremy H, I always put down between 3 to 5 inches of substrate. Yeah, if you're gonna do substrate, I think you need more than that. This was like my first attempt at a larger planted tank, and I didn't know what I was doing. Jeremy says that's depending on the tank height. Jess says I've done the faces. She's digging the video. Hi, little baby. Look at the fishies. So, Punchy says hers are all between 1.5 to 2 inches. Yeah, that seems to be the standard that I have been neglecting, because the community tank over here, that's got probably 1 inch. When I first started doing planted tanks, I was real worried about the gas bubbles. The horrible gas bubbles that you get if you don't gravel vac your substrate. And I wasn't going to gravel vac because I was going to do plants. So I was like, okay, if I keep it thin, then I won't have that problem. I think my problem now is that my plants have nowhere to put their roots. Because this thing, the roots are way out of the substrate. Hello, Anthony's fishy friends. Jose Montevello just finished reading Karen, where'd it go? Karen A. Randall's Sunken Gardens. Excellent read. I'm going to have to get that one. Crystal Shack says, I like that you can admit when you didn't/don't know what you're doing. Generally, I don't know what I'm doing. I like to do a lot of research, but I have this theory that the first time you do anything, even if you know exactly what you're doing, the first time you do anything, you have no clue what you're doing. So, you just gotta learn. But yeah, you gotta be able to admit when you have no idea. You gotta be able to admit when you messed up. You gotta be able to admit when things are going wrong or you need help. Because if you can't do that, then you're not gonna learn. Like my betta. Grouchy is on his way out, I think. He's still swimming, he's still eating, but that tumor is growing on his gill, and I'm like, I can't do anything. General cure is not going to work for a tumor. There's no other medicines that are going to work for a tumor. I'm not going to do fish surgery on his gill plate. And he's an old betta. And he's got catappa leaves, and he's got the best food, and he's happy, and his tank is clean, and that's about all I can do, so gotta admit it. Heather Nielsen says, yeah, water sprite can get some huge roots. Did you see those in the thumbnail? It's insanity in there. And now I'm kind of worried that if I cover it up, it's been growing out of the substrate for so long, and it might hurt it.
I'm ready for pizza!
She's ready for pizza.
I'm cooling it up, Danny. Go sit down.
Punchy says, when I first started, I just poked the gravel with a chopstick when I do a water change to release any trapped air or bubbles. Working at Lucas's, I have learned that those air bubbles don't do anything. They're just aquarium farts. They smell like rotten eggs, come up, and you're like, oh, the aquarium farted. Nothing happens to the fish. Jose says, a lot of aquarium keeping is word of mouth, internet, trial and error, or reading a book on the topic. That's exactly right. That's why I love this hobby, because it's like, you can read the book and know exactly the tank parameters of a certain fish that book says, and you could be a complete noob. I mean, you could read 6 books and know exactly what all of them say, and still be a complete noob, because you've never kept that fish. And when you really keep that fish, it turns out that it's totally this, and you totally have to do this other thing, and if you keep them at what it says in the thing, they don't breed, and like, these fish are labeled as fully aquatic, and it says to keep them at like 78 degrees, and it says, you know, keep a tight lid on them. It says nothing about them breathing air. It says nothing about them wanting to get out of the water, and that's why they jump. It just says they're jumpers. Make sure you have a tight lid. It doesn't explain the fish. So you gotta do it. Crystal says, that's why I like MTS, so Malaysian trumpet snails. They keep pockets from forming in my silica sand. Yeah, a lot of people use those Malaysian trumpet snails. I don't have any, because I refuse to buy snails. I get them as hitchhikers, and so far, no Malaysian trumpet snail hitchhikers. I have every other type of snail you can think of, and I'm apparently going to be getting some rabbit snails, which will be super cool, because I love watching them at Lucas's, the way they, like, drag themselves. They, like, go forward, and then they're like, oh, come on, shell. Oh, come on, shell. Oh, the shell's so heavy. Snake with braces. Hello, how are you? I am well. Gotta go to work a little bit later, so I'm getting ready to eat some lunch. Thought I'd talk to you guys about this plant that is completely growing out of the substrate. John Gonzalez is live. Hello, welcome. Vanessa says, what'd you say, Vanessa? It scrolled on me. Try and try again. LOL. Till something works for the plant/tanks that works best for you, right? Keep trying until something goes on. Or something happens that you wanted. Crystal Shack says, I don't know if I've seen rabbit snails. Google it. Google it on your YouTube it. Because those things are hilarious. You just watch them like pull that shell along, like they're dragging around their whole life. Ugh. So cute. Jeremy says there's a lot more info on the interwebs now. Magazines and books were the go-to when I started keeping fish. Yeah, I think that's why it's getting to be such a big, like, hobby now, is because instead of being stuck with this, and that's where you get all your information, or having to drive 2 hours to a club, you can get online in the Fish Fam or the DIY community or all of fishy internet, if we want to be all inclusive, because that's what we should be, and talk to each other for free, and talk to people that have actually had those fish, that have actually kept what you're, you know, done what you're trying to do, or have tried what you're trying to do and it failed in a certain way, so they can give you pointers as to how to not do that. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Russell says, just wanted to say I love your content and personality. Keep it up. Thanks, man. Gonna stay as awkward as possible because that's all I know how to do. Yeah, for sure check out Dan Slee. If he's got the rabbit snail videos, Dan Slee's the man. He's the man. I think that's who's sending me rabbit snails. Yeah, for sure. He contacted me on Facebook and he was like, hey, I'm sending Lucas some rabbit snails. Do you want some rabbit snails? And I was like, yes, I want some rabbit snails.
Sure, why not add them to the tank?
Put my name on. And down. I'll throw them in something. But I got my quarantine tank back because I took those Congo Tetra Fry up to Lucas. So now I can go see if that ropefish is still at that pet store and save it. Even though I do not condone the saving of fish from pet stores that shouldn't have them and are treating them wrong. Do as I say, not as I do. Because if that's still there, I'm saving it. Hate doing the saving, but it's a ropefish. And it's in a tank with a blue crayfish. I hope somebody bought it or else I'm going up there to get it. And I'm going to throw it in the quarantine and it can just chill there. It's way too small to go in with the big guys. Little tiny ropefish. So, we'll see. But even if I don't get that one, I'm putting in a big order for... Can't breathe. Big order for more ropefish. Like 10 or 15. A big order. No, Jose Montevello. I was raised that way, though. Crystal Shack says, does anyone actually use Twitter? No. I don't. I'm not a Kardashian. I don't need 144 characters to make a statement. I just need y'all, and these fish tanks, and my kid, and some coffee. Plus Twitter, like, that's just too much. It's just too much. Instagram is almost too much for me. Like, I can't keep up. Has anybody ever seen the show Black Mirror? There's an episode of Black Mirror where they... it's kind of like the Twilight Zone in the 21st century, if anybody has not seen it. But there's this episode where they're always, like, on their phones and everything's about your social score. And if you tank your social score, you can't even get, like, a cab. Like, and you have to like everybody's, like, pictures of their coffee and everybody's setting up their foods and stuff. Instagram reminds me of that. Like, oh, I gotta go through here and like everything. I'm like, oh, that's a sweet fish, that's a sweet fish. And I forget to hit the like or the love or the heart or whatever. Ken says he loves Black Mirror. Black Mirror is awesome. That is, don't watch that if you're sensitive. Because it can mess with your head. They're pretty much doing that in China now, says Crystal Shack, right? That's where it's going, like...
No, I was just about to say that to you. They are.
Yeah, it's all about your social score, and if that's where life is going, I'm in big trouble.
They have celebrities going missing.
Because God knows I'm going to say something wrong about the wrong person that's a joke, because I think it's funny, and somebody takes something serious that I say, because 90% of what I say is either rambling or a joke. But it's all real. Cheers. Valley Fish says, Substrate too much. I always think of the fish store Corey did a tour of on the West Coast with no water changes. That place was amazing. Did you see their substrate levels? It was insanity. They're following the Wallstead method is what they're doing. That stuff's nuts. Those plants are insane. Like there's a ropefish on my head. Just Shrimp Granny wants coffee. That's what babies do to you. Yeah, I loved that video. That video was amazing. I also love that he walks around with that CO2. That's the guy that walks around with the CO2 tube and he just fills up like Gatorade bottles in his tanks. Amazing. Johan says, rambling. Pam, are you involved in this? Yeah. I'm a rambler. And when I get on a subject, I can rant. I won't make you guys go through that just yet. Yeah, the CO2 part of that video is just amazing. Punchy can go a lot longer than me live though, man. She'll just stay on there. She don't care. Just hang out. I'm not running CO2 in any of my tanks. I've not broached the CO2 wall yet. I don't think I'm ready for that. Mostly because I'm afraid I'm going to gas off my fish. Partially because I don't want to pay for all the CO2 stuff. I may try this tube thing that Lucas is doing now in the 240. You guys got to ask him to show you that. It's like a plastic tube that he's having his CO2 fill up into so that it gets in there better. Kind of like that guy's doing, but with an actual like regulator. So I may try that. I just really don't want to buy a regulator right now, especially when I'm trying to build out this basement. Snake with Braces says, I've used the bottle and CO2 method for years. Yeah, it's awesome. Jose wants to know, what are the background plants behind you? So this plant that goes all the way down to here is Rotala inni. And then this plant in the middle that was the thumbnail, that's, here, let me move a little bit. This plant right here in the middle, that was the thumbnail where all the base of the plant is like all the roots are out of the substrate. That's Water Sprite. I got that from Aquarium Co-op. I got this from Lucas Brett's. And now Candy's going to kill me because she's going to be going crazy with the links. But yeah, Aquarium Co-op, Lucas Brett's. This plant right here, I don't know if you can see it, is a big Anubis. Got that. I traded some guppies for that from somebody from our local club. And then way over here, on top of this piece of slate, that is a giant clump of Pilomoss, also Lucas Brett's. So, that is the tour of the ropefish plants. Hey OTD clan, what's up? Punchy says that makes me think of a comedian I watched talking about being at an all-you-can-eat buffet and the Chinese owner told him, "You've been here for an hour." It's Who was that? Oh, I've seen that. Who was that? Now I don't remember. Now you got me all messed up, Punchy. Valleyfish says you should overtake a LRB stream and tank tour at work. Yeah, right. Try getting that gimbal out of his hand. It's got an iron grip on that thing. It's fancy gimbal. It's awesome. He's going to be doing a bunch more scaping though. Planting of tanks because I've opened up a bunch more tanks in there. So he's going to have all kinds of room for the new year. Quarantine's empty. Tanks opened up. It's opening up another 75. Moving stuff around. Things are happening at LRB. Stay tuned. What are y'all doing today? I moved the guppies out, so I had those in those hang on the fronts separated into like my BAP stuff and my for sale stuff, and I decided that's a horrible idea because the guppies were picking on the Cory cat fry, so now they're separated into guppies and Corys, and I gotta sell these things, so they're gonna go up for sale like as soon as the weather gets a little better, and I'm thinking about selling the whole breeding group of Paleatus Cory since I've already bred them and I want to move on to another species of Cory in that tank. I want to throw one of my other species in there to see if that setup really just breeds Corys or if it's just that species. So I'm thinking about selling off the whole breeding group as one big breeding group. No. I just don't know how to ship Corys yet. not no L.A. Jane, which is not how you pronounce her name, but that's how I pronounce it because that rocks. Says, you have it looking good over there at LRB's. Good job, Haley. Yeah, he did that whole 240 himself. That 240 was all him. That thing went from green to mean. It's awesome looking now. It looks like a rose garden. The rest of it. I got it. It's just water changes, people. I'm not doing rocket science over here. I'm just doing water changes. And I've shown you one time lapse. I've got another time lapse. I've got to get some more footage to put with because all I got was the time lapse because I was super tired. I cleaned a lot of tanks last night. I did the upstairs, quarantine, the utility room, and the main fish room all last night. And filled up to 240, so it was a lot, but I did manage to get some time lapse. But yeah, it's just water changes. Just do your water changes, and then you don't have to pull algae and scrape fronts and all that kind of stuff, because the more water changes you do, that stuff doesn't have a chance. Your plants just keep growing. So as long as you're doing water changes and keeping your plants taken care of, that's what I really got to get into now, is how to propagate all the different plants in all those tanks, because I know how to do most of them, but the big thing is, like, think about it. If you had somebody else doing your maintenance on your fish tank, when you get in there to do maintenance, that's when you kind of look at stuff and you put it where it goes, and you kind of, oh, I'm going to propagate this one, add a little more over here, kind of make this a little bushier, trim this down, that kind of stuff. Having someone else do that for you, being that person that's doing that for someone else, is kind of nerve-wracking, because that's a very, especially for somebody who's OCD, that's a very specific thing, and I don't want to put something in the wrong spot. So we're kind of trying to find a balance between him in the tanks and me just doing power water changes, which is what we've kind of been doing, is like a lot of power water changes. Let's see, Valleyfish says, how often do you do water changes? At my house, once a week. At Lucas's, we're still kind of tuning in the schedule, because he's never had an employee before. I've never worked in a fish room before. He's never had somebody work in his fish room doing that many different things before, so it's kind of a balance between water changes and lists of, you know, little odds and end things that need done and stuff that has to be done every day, like draining dehumidifiers and taking trash out, sweeping, that kind of stuff. And basically we're trying to get to a 25% once a week on everything in his fish room. I do mine all 50 or more once a week. Water change, water change, water change. JH Aquatics is here. I don't know if I said hello to Joseph. Hello, Joseph. How is life? How are you doing? Vanessa says, just got done with water changes upstairs in the fish way. Fish work never done. No, it is never done, because you'll do 6 more things, and those 6 things that you did created 6 more things you have to do. So it's like, oh, I got all of this stuff done, now I gotta wash all the stuff for it. Oh, I got all of this stuff done, now I gotta clean it all up and wipe all the fronts down and all this other stuff. So it's never-ending work. Fantastic job security. Punchy's doing a water change on our axolotl tank while working. Axolotls rule. Those things rule. Jeremy's Wild Studios here. Michigan's Aquatics is here. Hello, hello. Have I missed anyone else? I think I've been missing people because I've been rambling. It is a lot of work, Crystal Shack, but I will be the one to work. Work. I'm down with it. Get caught up on everybody's stuff when I drive into work, and then the coolest part of it is that now I'm getting like a really good feel for what I'm doing there, and my kind of system of when to drain the tank, when to wash your hands, when to do this. Like, it's all his system, but you've got to kind of, the OCD kicks in, so I got to kind of schedule it in my head a little bit. And now that I've kind of gotten into a workflow with I've done it all multiple times now, so now I can like figure out when I can integrate setting up my camera at the same time. Like, okay, before I do this hand wash, I can set my camera up over here, and then you guys can see what I do on certain tanks, and I'm figuring it out. So you guys are going to get to see more of it. It's just a process of OCD and 300 fish tanks and 2 people with OCD trying to work together, which is helpful and also different because my OCD is a little different than his, and it just kind of, you have to, it's a process. It's working out well though. Loving it all, figuring it out, not messing up too badly. I did suck a fish into the bucket yesterday. You guys, I sucked a fish into the bucket yesterday. It was horrible. I was like, The bucket is no man's land. It's wasteland. Fortunately, you'll see in the time lapse that I'm going to put out with my next video that I was pulling fish out of the bucket anyway, like the bucket fish, because they have to be quarantined after they've been in there, because the bucket is the dirty apocalypse zone. I was pulling the fish out of there anyway that day, so I had like a really nasty net, and I already had a deli cup full of bucket fish, so I was like, oh, at least you did it today. Because you can pull them out. You won't be banished to the bucket for however long. Pam says I do that a lot, Haley. Everybody's too scared of Punchy to be mean. I'm not scared of Punchy. Yolan said if I was living in Alaska, I'd build a bunker just in case. A bunker for what? What are we talking about here? Who needs a bunker? In case Punchy shows up? What's happening here? I don't know what's going on, but you guys be good. So is anybody else doing this Wallstead method, dirted tank? Who's doing dirted tanks? Dirted tanks are sweet. I'm just too scared to do it yet. I think I'm going to use some dirt from my backyard to do the Bashir tanks in the basement instead of using Substrate for that. Hey Sakana, Katana, hello, how are ya? Punchy does dirted tanks, but in her own way. I want to extrapolate on that. I need to read that book one day. You do need to read this book. This is a good book. I mean, it's super nerd, like super like nerd level 1000. Like it reads like a textbook at school where you're like, okay, now I have to look up what the heck this word means. I'm glad she included that word to try to clarify. Just made it worse. But there's this cool section in like a lot of these sections of this book where, I don't know if you can see this, people like wrote her a question and she answered it. And in these answers, she's a lot less techy, nerdy, scientific-y, if you will. So it's a little bit more like stuff you can really apply. Like, you get the gist of all of this, but it's like really, unless she's talking about her tanks, when she actually goes into like the real nerd part of it, it's hard to get a grasp on what she's really saying. You can get it. I had to read it a couple times, but when she starts talking about her tanks and when she's answering those questions, like there's a bunch of them, like these little question sections where people like asked a much more generalized question, like how do you keep your planted tanks, or how clean do you keep your planted tanks? She explains it much less ridiculously in depth. So John Gonzalez says, I believe the Wallstead book is the Bible of our hobby. I don't know about Bible, but it's a really, really good read. So I try to keep, I like books. Like, I buy a lot of books just for like one little section in them because I need to know what that says and you can't see it. So I've got like ridiculously, like, hang on. Like, I got this book literally just for, where is it? I think it's this one. Maybe not. Maybe it's here. I usually keep this stuff marked. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. You guys watch me go nerd level 1000. Ray finned fishes. So this was when I was doing research on the rope fish, and I literally bought this entire book, got this entire book for this section on this page. Zoology. This is like a, I don't know, college book or something. There, that goes back on the shelf. So all my books are like super, super nerd or super fantasy. I got a lot of books over there. Just shrimp granny. I'm going to switch to Eco Complete. I can't get a lid for the tank, so I'm going to get a new 29 gallon and a lid. My cats are getting into the acrylic tank. Nice. Valley Fish warning. Jungle Val and dirted tank outruns everything. Yes. Jungle Val, any kind of Val. Val will take over. What else do we say here? Jeremy Studios. On the fish forums, when people are like, do I really need a filter? I tell them to read Wallstead's book. This tells you how to use plants as a filter. You don't really need a filter. Check out my boss's channel. He doesn't use them. Sea Spot Run is one of your favorite books, Punchy. It's a good book. There's some interesting books up there. I got a big collection. And the interesting part is, like, I don't have a huge collection of books because I only hold on to books that are like, I'm gonna need to read that again someday. just to remind myself of some of the things that were in there. So I hold on to those books, and the rest of the books that I have, I generally box up and take to the prison. I do have a Patreon. It's Sakana Katana, Just Shrimp Granny. If you didn't know, Petco's doing a $1 gallon sale right now. Is that on the for real $1 gallon right now? Because I may need to get down on that. I need some 40 breeders. That'd be sweet. Actually, I need some 20 longs too. I wonder if they're discounting those. So those are usually only 20 bucks. Thank you for that info, because I will be checking it out. Oh, it's real deal. It's for real. It's on the for reals. Oh my goodness, you guys. Oh my goodness. I need some monies, husband.
You got all the money you need.
I need some monies. 40 breeders are half price, but not $40. Yeah, I know. But the 20 longs usually, when they do the $1 a gallon sale, are like 20 some odd bucks. And if I can get the two more of those that I need 2 more, because I already have 2 of them. And then I need like 6 more 10 gallons for the rack that I'm going to put in the basement. And then I need, let's think about this, the Bashir's system that I'm going to put in the basement. I need 2 tanks. I need one for grow out and one for full grown big boys. And I can't decide whether I want to do a big 125 and a 75 or 2 75s for the Bashirs. What do y'all think? Yeah, 20 longs or 20 bucks, says Just Shrimp Granny. I'm on my way. I gotta go. I'm shutting down the live stream. No, I'm just joking. PetSmart will match the sale price too. Yeah, I'll probably get them at PetSmart just because that's closer to me than Petco. Valley Fish needs some 20 highs. Yep. I want to get another. Jeremy's Wild Studio says I want to get another 20 longs so I can make a 4-way divided betta tank. Ooh. Now that you say that, since I was talking about doing betta tanks on my desk, I bet if I got 4 20 longs instead of 2, I could do 2 20 longs, and I could do a 4-way divide in each of them. I'd have 8 betta tanks on the desk. Genius. You're the man. I knew I came on live for a reason. The 10, 20, and 29 are on sale for $1 a gallon, says Thomas Skipper. Yes. Everyone to PetSmart and to Petco to buy all of the tanks. Just Shrimp Granny says, I have a 20 long divided betta tank and I love it. Did you do 3 or 4 sections in your 20 gallon long betta tank? So I'm thinking 3 I could probably scape to look a little nicer, because I want everything in the basement to be display tank and breeding. So it's going to be fantastic. But 4 sections, 4 fish. Okay. Is it like kind of crowded, or I don't know, I probably just need to look. I wish I'd done 3. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing 3 just so that it's easier to get in there and it's easier to like really plan it out so that you can't see the dividers as much. Maybe I'll do 3. 2 20 longs, 3 each. That'd give me 6. But wait a minute. I just decided last night I wasn't getting any more bettas. That was like my rule. Where's Lucas? He's supposed to be telling me not to get bettas, and I just planned 2 tanks full of bettas. And he's supposed to be telling me don't buy any more bettas. And I'm supposed to be telling him not to buy any more bettas because we don't need any more bettas. There's plenty of bettas. Just Shrimp says it's a pain. I use the dividers and filters from Life with Pets. Yeah. I think I'm going to do 3 sponge filter in each one. Maybe sponge filter in each one. Probably sponge filter in each one. Thomas Skipper, thank you. Don't buy bettas. I love bettas. Heather Nielsen says there's always room for bettas. There's not, though. Because you get a betta and you're like, maybe it'll be a community fish. Maybe you can put it in with your community. It'll be great. And it's a 50-50. And let me tell you something. For some reason, I always attract the jerk bettas. Like, bettas that you can't put anything in their tank. Like, they don't even let plants live there. And no bettas. No more bettas. No more bettas. No more bettas. I was trying to think of a smaller, non-betta oddball that I could put in small tanks on the desk or in, like, this 2.5 gallon, because Grouchy's gonna crap out on me. And, like, There's a bunch of little nano fish that I was thinking about. I was also thinking about those pom-pom crabs, but then Lucas was telling me how they're kind of hard to keep. I need something small, an oddball. Maybe I can do the 20 longs on the desk with axolotls. That'd be cool. I don't know. It's all a mystery. Japanese rice fish, says Sakana Katana. Yeah, right. We were talking about those. Those are really cool. I saw them at Lucas's house the other day while I was cleaning. We were working on some tanks in the garage, and the females like run around with the eggs hanging off of them, like hanging onto them, like before they put them somewhere. It was really weird and cool. Sparkling Grammies, honey Grammies. I have never kept Grammies. I don't know why. I think they remind me too much of angelfish. Angelfish are jerks. Not a fan. They're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Glad y'all keep them, so I don't have to, because they're jerks. Punchy has Daisy's rice fish. They're one of her favorite fish. That's awesome. They run around with the little eggs thing. Ginger Grave says, my first fish was a betta that was 9 months ago. Now I have 20 tanks and 10 bettas. Only 3 of those successfully live in a community tank. Of those, 1 needs to move because his fins are being nipped. Right? You can't put them with anything else. So then, you get the betta and you're like, betta is fantastic. Love the betta. And then you get more tanks. And you discover more fish. And you realize that this betta is taking up gallons of water for 1 fish. You can't put another betta in there. It's kind of a pain when you're breeding them. They're kind of a jerk. You can't put some shrimp in there. They get problems with their tail because they don't swim very well if it's too long, and they scrape it on something, so you can't put a lot of decorations in there, and then you end up with 40 betta tanks. And unless you're super into bettas, that gets to be annoying. And I'm super into rope fish and odd fish and fish that do weird things, and like I really want to get, I don't know what they're called, but apparently they're in the hobby. There's this fish that like jumps out of water to lay its egg on a leaf, and then it jumps back in the water, and when the egg is up there and it hatches, the parents like spit water at it to get it to fall back down into the water. Those things are cool. Might get those. Might get mud skippers. Might get some archerfish. We're gonna see. Mud skippers I'm a little worried about because the whole brackish thing. Yeah, I'm definitely for sure getting archerfish for the basement eventually. They're gonna go right next to the stairs where the living wall is gonna be, so that they can shoot you in the face as you come down the stairs. It's gonna be amazing. Jeremy's Wild Studio says, I had a betta once that wouldn't even tolerate ram's horn snails. Yeah. And the nice ones, the one where you're like, oh, he's beautiful and he lives in my community tank and he gets along with everyone and no one bothers him. That's the 1 in a million betta. That's not the betta standard. Betta? Beta? Whatever. Just Shrimp Granny says, I have a betta that eats snails. Yeah. Candy Overhaul says, the brackish part of mud skippers is no big deal. I have salt, I have a refractometer, and I have fear. That's what I have. I'm afraid that my water is like not gonna react well. I tried to do, well, I didn't try. I did have a figure 8 puffer, and that's why I have the salt and the refractometer, because I went brackish with him. I think he had internal parasites and that's why he died. I treated him. I did like 2 rounds of general cure with him and like the whole aquarium co-op trio. Because when I got him in, I knew he came from a bad source and all of that. So, but he ended up dying on me, and I don't know whether it was because he just had problems or because I did something wrong with the brackish water, because that was my first attempt at a brackish system. So now I have fear. Lose the fear and you're set, right? I'll get there. I'm gonna do freshwater archerfish though, because I'm still too afraid. But if I get into the mud skippers, I will definitely rip off the brackish band-aid, if you will. Thomas Skipper, do you still have a lot of snails for sale? Let's see. Let's see, shall we? Earthquake! Does she still have a lot of snails for sale? Y'all want some snails? I got snails. So many snails. Oh, wait. There's more. Snail farm. Cory cat farm. Cat. Hi, Marley. Really? Okay. I'm also thinking it's time to get some new guppies. I'm kind of done with those guppies. And there's some baby guppies that are going to go up for sale. Oh, and here is a Jaden. Thank you. Can I have that? Thank you very much. What is this? This is a Pimkey Pop. My house looks like commercialism vomited. This is a Pimkey Pop. It's a waffle. Ping me pop. I don't know. I'm saying it wrong. This is a waffle squirrel, and it smells like maple syrup. And it's kind of overpowering, but waffle squirrel. Yeah. So, here's the giantest pea puffer ever. See her? She's huge and fat, and she hasn't even eaten yet. What are you doing there? And there's Grouchy. He's in the dark because he's, you know, kind of sad. This, here, let's turn the light on, and you can see what's going on down here. This is the baby Cory cat grow out. So let's see if we can see any baby Cory cats. They're very teeny. And I don't see any right now. They're oh, wait, there's one. Can you see it? There's a snail. I'm gonna block it. Okay. So, that's where the baby Cory cats are. There's Grouchy. He's still swimming, eating, growing a tumor. That's some algae. Don't look at that. Okay, there's some rope fish. I'm gonna turn this light off. So there's a reflection. That's the Rotala Annie. And I gotta cut that down and replant some of it because it's blocking all the light. And this is this plant. Look how much out of the substrate it is. It's not even in the substrate anymore at all. It's got a hold of some of these lava rocks. Those roots are from this Anubias, whatever plant. And then there be the moss. The giant moss. And that's ropefish cave down there. Oh, there be a ropefish. There's a thumbnail right there. There you go, YouTube. There be your thumbnail. They're hungry, so they're up here begging for food. Hanging out in these plants. This is my favorite shot of this tank. It's top down. Because usually they'll be hanging out up there. There's an empty snail shell. Top down. Okay. Alright. Let's do this. Because I'm going to have to wrap this up. Because I got to go to work soon. And I still haven't eaten anything. And I was going to go for half an hour. And I went for 48 minutes. And now I got to check the chat and see what y'all are saying about my horrible snail problem. Okay. Twisty Reg just pulled 60 albino Cory eggs. That's pretty sweet. Put about an inch of dirt or two in planted tanks. Yep. Ginger Grave. Commercialism vomited. It did. Her room is... Whoo, buddy. Yeah, order some snails for your pea puffers, Thomas Skipper, because look how fat my pea puffer is. Y'all got any more of them snails? Says Jeremy's Fault Studio. Anything else going on? Okay. Quinn Mallory, man, I hate work. LRB has got it made, right? Gets to hang out there all day. I only get to hang out there for 8 hours. So, yeah. To wrap up, I need more substrate in this tank. I need to sell those Cory cats and those guppies. and I need to sell all those snails. And I also need to go to Petco, and everyone needs to go to Petco and PetSmart and buy all the tanks because it's $1 sale. Get in there. So, y'all have a good day. I'm gonna go eat before I have to hit the road and get to work, and hopefully I'll get some more footage filmed for you so I can get a video out for you tomorrow that's actually edited, that's not just me rambling about my nonsense. Ginger Graves, those Corys are going to be for sale as soon as we figure out how to ship them, because I got to get them out of here because there's so many of them and I got more on the back burner coming in, and I got a Cory cat factory going on here. So I will let you know when the Cory cats and stuff go on sale. They're all going to go through Lucas's website, so just keep an eye out on there. If you're his patronizer, you usually get first dibs on that kind of stuff. If you're my patronizer, you can hit me up on Patreon and I'll give you first dibs on whatever I've got. I'm definitely going to be selling the metal jacket guppies and the Cory cat fry, so those are going to go up soon. Wait for the cold weather to kind of chill down a little bit, and then we'll be rocking and rolling. Go buy them, OTD. Just go do it. Anyway, have fun. Little Largemouth is going to watch when it uploads. You have fun doing that, Little Largemouth. I'm going to get on the road, get some food in my stomach, and shut this all down. So, y'all have fun. Thanks for stopping by. Check out lrbaquatics.com. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Keep on trucking, and go to work. See you later.